Hi everybody, it's Cindy Horgan, and I'm wondering if this has ever been something that you've said in the middle of the day. What were you thinking, or why did you do that? I know as a mom, those are phrases that I know I have said many times. And so today what I really want to talk about is exactly what those phrases mean. And very often when we say, what were you thinking, why did you do that? We're reacting to a behavior that our child has put in front of us, and we're saying, why? What is this? Well, the why and what is this behavior is our children's tool for communicating. And so when we as parents and caregivers really want to understand why they're doing what is it they wanted, when we start to understand that behavior is communication and identify what the behavior is communicating as far as what our children need, it helps us as parents to realize, first of all, that our children really aren't designed to get us, and it will often feel that way. It'll feel like they're just doing this to make me crazy. And so today I just want to give us a small snippet of understanding what the goals of behavior are. And when we understand what the goal of the behavior is, that allows us as parents and caregivers to respond to what it is our child needs from us in this moment. And so Alfred Adler had identified what I would say four goals of behavior. And over the years, there's actually been a fifth added to that equation. And I should also say Rudolf Dreikers as well. The two of them together had come up with this identifying these behaviors. And so the five behaviors, as I'll call them today, are these. One of them is attention. One is for power. One is feeling of inadequacy. One is for revenge. And one is to change the level of stimulation, to increase it or decrease it. And when we start to break these down and understand when our child is presenting with one of these behaviors, and they can actually they can be combined at times as well, that guides us as parents and caregivers to what our child is learning and how they're communicating and what they need from us. So I'll start with the very first one. When our children, when attention is the goal of their behavior, when they are seeking attention, whether it's negative or positive, the first indicator for us as a parent or caregiver that that's their goal is that we're annoyed by our child. Why do they keep doing this? This is driving me crazy. They keep doing it again and again and again. And every time I say stop, they just do it more. Right from that sort of knee-jerk reaction on our part, it tells us that our child is seeking attention. So when children are seeking attention, as a parent or caregiver, there's a couple of responses that we can respond to it. One of those is, and a lot of us get this pearl of wisdom from other professionals who say to us, ignore it and it will stop. And there are some children, just by their design, by the design of their temperament, that if you ignore an inappropriate behavior or an unwanted behavior on your part, it will eventually stop. However, there are some children that are born with what I call high persistence, strong-willed, determined, and children that have that characteristic, that's part of who they are in their temperament. Trying to ignore attention-seeking behavior will never work. It'll actually almost amplify it. It'll get worse and worse. So you really have to know who your child is when you work on that pattern of understanding that attention is their goal and how am I going to respond to it. The other response to attention-seeking behavior is this, to actually give our children appropriate doses of attention. So a child that's mummy, 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 and just it feels like that's all I hear all day, coming down to their level, squatting down, being right with them and saying, sounds like you have something to tell me. I guess the best thing I can tell you when it's at that response, giving 5 minutes of attention means they don't spend 25 minutes seeking it. So a lot of times they're just trying to touch base. They just want to know that you know that they're there. And that's all it may require. The other piece about attention-seeking behavior is pay attention to the behavior you're giving energy to. So when my child is quiet and cooperative and engaged in positive things, if I have that idea that I'm not going to say anything because I don't want to ruin that, pay attention to that, because if you find that the only time that that attention feeling comes up is when your child has broken all the rules and is driving you crazy, if we're only giving attention to the negative, that's the only time they're getting it from us, that's the behavior that's going to be repeated and repeated. So those moments when our child is sort of engaging the way we would want them to, just to not, you're the best, but wow, you really found how to make yourself, to find a quiet place to play that game. That sounds like you were really smart, and I appreciate that. We're going to see more and more of that. We all do attention-seeking behaviors. This is not just a children's thing. This is a human being thing. We as adults, from our partners or those people in our lives, what kind of raises the bar? What gets people to notice me? So again, attention-seeking behavior is a child saying, look at me, I am here. Pay very close attention to what you're reinforcing. What is it that if you're only seeing that negative, that is what's going to be repeated every time. When you have that moment to come through that and say, wow, I noticed, or I'm curious, and use that kind of language, that is really helpful. The other piece, when I went back and I said about coming down and giving that 5 minutes, means they don't have to spend 25. When it comes to attention-seeking behavior, I think we also have a gift here. And that is teaching our children to take a moment and wait. So when our child is telling us they need our attention, if we say to them, I know you've got something to tell me, and I'm really busy at this task right now, but when I'm done, I'm going to meet you on the couch and I want to hear about it. 2 things happen from that. When you really follow through and go and meet them on the couch to do that, you increase that trust in that relationship, which is critical. The other thing you're doing is giving your child an opportunity to be able to have delayed gratification, not having to have it immediately. So we continue that pattern of practicing it. So that's one of those behaviors. Remember, attention, I know it's for that when I'm annoyed. The next one is for power. And we know that our children are seeking power when we are challenged by them. I'm arguing with a 3-year-old. I'm debating with a 5-year-old. When that's constantly feels like it's an constant dance going on. When our children are seeking power and control, we have an opportunity to give them healthy doses of that, because that's how they learn to manage the big pieces of life. One of the big ways that we're able to do that is to provide them with choices and really limit those choices. 2 choices is a perfect amount. And also keep in mind that both choices get to be mine. So, for example, if I am trying to put a busy 4-year-old into their car seat and it's becoming this, I'm not gonna, and that back and forth, my 2 choices are these. Do you want to get in this door or this door? Those are my 2 choices. Believe it or not, children will often be like, whoa, I want to get in that door. Great choice. Making sure that those are the choices that you can live with. When you open up sort of the child's closet and say, what do you want to wear today? And you've got enough clothes in there to fill a typical Macy's, that's overwhelming. They can't handle that many choices. As a mom, I can't tell you how often I learned from a simple mistake. Rather than saying, these are our choices for breakfast today, I would begin with, what do you want for breakfast? And I got to tell you, it went south very quickly, and I was the person going south with it. Really being able to produce what I can. There are times that when we even provide that opportunity for choices with our children, that they will really struggle with that. And we get to be the parent or caregiver in that moment and say, I get to make the choice today. There are some things that giving choices is not an option. When it's around safety, it is not an option. You must wear your seatbelt in the car. You must wear your bike helmet when you ride a bike. Those are not opportunities for choices. And to think about those. Sometimes when we think about that impact of making those choices and what that is, sometimes another period, which will be in another post here, about discipline strategies, but paying attention to when I'm being challenged by my child, how can I give them a healthy amount of control and allow them that opportunity? And you'd be amazed at what children, how they can grow with that. The next reason for behavior, we call it revenge. And when we are hurt by our child, you're the meanest mother, I hate you, I don't like you, go back to where you came from. When that is sort of, and we're hurt by our child, that is telling us that our child has an emotional need. And when we feel that, it goes right to our core. The first thing that gives me sort of a moment is that I'm the safe place. They can be a hot mess with me. They can dump all their emotional trash with me, and I'm the safe place. And so when our children's behavior is about revenge, and we know that because we've been hurt by it, we need to connect emotionally with them. And I talk over and over again about how critical it is to understand our job to teach emotional intelligence to our children. And so when there's big feelings that maybe don't feel so great, we're going to be the place that comes to. And it's an opportunity to really say, wow, those are big words. Those are hard words. It sounds like something big is going on there. When we react to that hurtful stuff and we get really sensitive, and I'm not saying that you shouldn't be sensitive, when we react to it, we kind of close a door for connecting emotionally with them. And so, not to say that I might not have that knee-jerk reaction, but if I can take that pause for myself and get regulated and get to the front part of my brain, I can always sort of circle back to what brought us there and really have an opportunity to talk about feelings and what they look like and feel like. The fourth reason was feeling of inadequacy. And we see this at different times in development. And we know that it's feeling of inadequacy when we kind of have that hopeless feeling for our children, like, my goodness, they really aren't, nobody's inviting them to a birthday party, or especially when they get older in that adolescent time when they just feel like, I'm not smart, I'm not athletic, whatever their doubts are of self. When we have that sort of hurt in our heart about how our child sees themselves, we know that that also is about emotional need. And for them, it's about how do we build them socially and emotionally, and also help them build social skills. So when I think of a child that I'm feeling that angst for, that, I don't know if they're ever going to get invited to a birthday party, I know my opportunity here, that behavior is coming, is that I have an opportunity to help them develop those skills through social coaching and how to respond and read cues and do all of those things there. So those 4 behaviors were the beginning of this work. And then the 5th one that really has come into our vision is changing the level of stimulation. There are some children that will use behavior, and it'll be pretty big behavior as well, if we bring them into a place that is just too much stimulation for them and they're overwhelmed by it. They are going to use that behavior in order to get removed from it. So if you said to your child that became overstimulated easily, and you were going into a mall at Christmas time, and we know how busy it is, if you said to them, we're going into the mall and you better behave because that's how we're going to stay at the mall, and you get into that mall and that child is completely overwhelmed by the experience in there, they're brilliant. And they're probably going to say, okay, wait a minute, a moment ago they told me exactly what I need to do to leave the mall. They told me that if I didn't behave, we would have to leave. And so when we see our children in different environments that are really more about what is happening in the environment, either their behavior go up or go down, it's a great opportunity for us to know our child better, know what they can handle. So for my child that's easily overstimulated, I probably want to change it from, if you don't behave, we're not going to stay, we're going to leave, to tell me when you need to take a break. Tell me when it's time for us to leave, when you've had enough of the mall for today. And so also knowing your child and knowing that other things can compound it, such as hunger and fatigue. And when we have to put expectations on our children, we want them set up for success. We don't want them at the end of their day, when they've already been on 10 errands and all of those things, to expect a lot from them. I know myself as an adult, there's a certain point that I'm like, I'm all set. I'm all done. I can't do it anymore. So today I just wanted to give a perspective on understanding what behavior is doing, and it's a form of communication. And the next time I post, we'll talk more about discipline strategies. But today, I think it's always valuable when we can make sense of why are you doing that, or what were you thinking, and realize that they're communicating with us, and that our job as parents and caregivers is to kind of understand that behavior and help them develop skills to continue to grow and to be able to navigate in this world that we're in. So for today, thank you for being a part of this conversation. I'm always grateful, in Cape Cod Children's Place, funded by amazing organizations such as the Children's Trust and our Safe Child Communities Grant, the Department of Early Education and Care, and our CFCE grant allows us to bring these programs to families throughout Cape Cod and the islands. You can always call here to follow up, ask a question, just be heard, 508-240-3310. It is my privilege that you invite me on your journey in this amazing journey of parenthood. So be well, be safe, and good luck.